Yo. I've been bout my papyrus since I've been in it. Put me in the debate, you know I'm gon' win it. If I scream black power, don't get timid. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. Primary research and we done pushed it to the limits. All you dudes finished. The king counting cattle up with brother Reggie. When I'm in Oakland, smoking, bro, they love the Chevy. Back in the day, it was the spokes on the chariot. Long procession when the king got carried out to every spot. Woman looking nice as ISIS. I read ancient texts, so my advice is priceless. Nubian gold, your ice don't entice us. Beating me harder than counting grains in your spices. Your heart was beating, but your brain dead. You're lifeless. Yo, they ain't nothing like us, yo. Don't try to make me mad. Make me smile and say you love me, man. That's real right there. Come on. You should listen to your main man's advice. Do a YouTube, apologize like Dice. Or the back fade coming like the Antichrist. Egyptologists see me reading and said that I'm nice. I got a Stella with your name on it. I'm like Sargon. You the type of dude wake up and your car gone. Told, cause of the money you owe. Before you stream, you should clean up that humble abode. Like Akhenaten City for my woman in gold. I keep the pseudos running, people coming in droves. You catch me on a live stream with Pan-African James. When we building, call us by our African names. I'm for the children. And ain't nothing happen to change. We on that black hype, so we still packing them things for protection. Got connections, My complexion, pure black, that's the S. Make me smile. You love me? Show me some love. All right. Yeah, they at it again. Out on the social media space with the nonsense. And acting like they got arguments and jamming people up that don't know nothing. It's sad, man. That's why we gotta stay out here disseminating this information. Just when they act like what you're doing ain't useful, it pops up the most useful. Because in this big propaganda machine, they reiterate age-old lies that we've been studying. Play this tune, and we're gonna get right to it. Yeah, and I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh. Alright, it's getting kinda dirty in these YouTube streets. The Amin Ra squad, God thinking you dudes weak. Islam or Judaism, where you learn what you dudes teach. The West African rappers slapping with that voodoo speech. All that sub-Saharan terror about a kufu feet. I'm like Norma, that agricultural farmer that grew you wheat for the storehouses. We feed the Hebrews and lead the people when we defeat the feeble. They wanna know polite rip me off, but Sonetta paid me my money though. That mean he 100. And I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh. Nubian with the Jews, I rock the pinky. I think Jesus got to save me. A doctor save me, a doctor inky. I cop the copper jewels on blue and red. I'm not the chakra doctor, y'all claim woke. But you in bed, you won't pop a chopper, you Grandmaster J. You just talk. Punks turn the other cheek and you will walk away. Y'all gon' have to pardon my Moorish. That's Tahaka Bay. I'm on that black African power on my darkest day. And that's my brother Ankh stomping them other punks. We brought them gators to Italy, you loving the Moorish. And now I'm teaching from my shrine like brother Jabari. Scoping the savannah cause I'm on another safari. Tasha K showed us Frank record. Young Pharaoh just losing his mind and y'all can't help him. I know one thing, you're a fool if you're still out here donating to Umar school. That shit through. And I'ma work cause I ain't going out lazy, bruh. Thought he was conscious, but the homie just played me, bruh. The house of consciousness is going out crazy, bruh. They crazy, bruh.
I'm gonna cut this song short.
You showing your hidden colors like Tariq Nasheed, a bunch of pseudo information I don't think I need.
But if y'all want to listen to some of that good music, some of them good tunes, go right to my Bandcamp. Fights Over Egypt. So, this idiot, Nick Fuentes, or whoever he is, and, you know, calling somebody an idiot don't mean I mean, he just an idiot. What can I say? But you're going to think that means you can't articulate, or you can't, you know what I mean, you can't speak well or talk really fast. Y'all been fooled in this social media space that people who talk really fast are somehow correct. But this dialogue right here, I just caught wind of this like the other day. And this is ridiculous. So we're going to school this young lad right here who don't even see they having this unfact-based conversation, and no one's going to resort to any facts or sources. They just strictly talking opinion that they think is based on something. Let's listen to this.
You don't think that there's group differences on average between the races?
I think, just to be clear, I think there would be group differences if you took, like we were talking about, an American versus somebody who graduates college in Europe. There'd be tremendous differences.
Not tremendous, but yeah, there would be slight differences,
yeah.
But you don't think that
I think
racially there's differences between races?
I think, yeah, because we have huge differences culturally. So going to your point of saying, I don't want to live in a black neighborhood, well, neither does LeBron James when he gets money, right? And there's a reason for that, because there is something that's happening culturally in Black America that's been going on for a very long time. But that
let's stop that right there. Don't let him off the hook on that shit. You don't know how to beat that up. Now, the reason why some black people who move out of black neighborhoods have even been fooled as to the reason why they wanted to move out of that neighborhood. So let's just talk about how, first of all, poverty-stricken communities are over-policed and less supported by the government. And you call that a black neighborhood. So somebody want to move out of a region in their area that is not as well supported, like got more potholes, right? It's over-policed. Wanting to move out of that area, which is traditionally called a black neighborhood in America, don't necessarily imply that you want to be away from black people. But the stigma of what we call the ghetto is a black area, and now everything that happens in the ghetto is attached to the people. Even the over-policing and the minimal support or funding that you get for anything as far as small as recreation. Don't even be nothing to do. So cats be wanting to get out of a poverty-stricken community that is not well supported by the government.
I would argue didn't exist in...
What about in Africa and Haiti? I mean, they're killing and eating each other in Africa and Haiti.
So hold on. This is what I'm trying to say. He's hopping all around the shit. She didn't even have no response for that. Now he's going to go to them killing each other in Africa and Haiti. So let's go back to see what points of his argument he's laid out so far.
College in Europe, there'd be tremendous differences.
Because so far he said, aren't there differences in races? So what is a difference in a race about people killing each other in Haiti? Because they're killing each other in Russia and the Ukraine. Right? Like, this shit is silly. These little childhood pro-slavery arguments, and we'll talk about that in a minute, These are so, you should have learned how to dismantle these arguments in your first week in I'm woke now, or whatever you did when you wasn't doing it, you feel me? You could take these arguments apart hella quick, but we gonna beat the brakes off this boy. Send him back home with his tail tucked. Let's go.
I truly, who graduates college in Europe, there'd be tremendous differences. Not
tremendous, but yeah, there would be slight differences,
yeah.
but you don't
So
think
I
that
think
racially there's differences between races?
I think, yeah, because we have huge differences.
So now we're talking about differences between races, and let's look at what points you pull out.
Culturally. So going to your point of saying, I don't want to live in a black neighborhood, well, neither does LeBron James when he gets money, right? And there's a reason for that, because there is something that's happening culturally in Black America that's been going on for a very long time.
See, that's the wrong answer. Stop with your lying bullshit. Culturally in Black America, so you want to go to a neighborhood where there ain't no hip hop? You trying to move to a neighborhood where don't nobody know how to dance? Don't try to put none of the white man plight of subjecting people and everything that happened in the ghetto and call that black culture. Stop with that nonsense. A lot of the new crimes we see nowadays is migrant crimes. I'm not on my Trump. I see that shit with my own eyes. Let's go look at the color of the motherfuckers doing these store run-ins. I'll pull up a random store run-in and we gonna get petty and look at the color of motherfuckers. Fuck that, we getting petty. Watch this. Bay Area store, smash, and smash and grab. We getting as petty as it get. Let's see, is this an all black smash and grab in the heart of Oakland?
Tonight, we are starting in Alameda County, specifically in Oakland, where the city is certainly no stranger to smash and grab robberies. This video is from March when 3 separate Chevron gas stations were hit.
We're doing as petty as we can do. Whatever they, if they dark, we saying black. If they look light, we saying not black.
All in one night. Well, today, a smash and grab cost one Oakland business almost everything.
I need to see the
Police say
footage,
that the
After a smash and grab at Kim Tin Jewelry on International Boulevard in Oakland.
It's just a mess. We don't even know where to get
All right,
started
well,
with
I'm
fixing
trying to
things.
reiterate my point, and I'm gonna get my point across. You look at a lot of this footage, you see all kind of mixed. It'd be mixes of people, bro. They must got some app that they hook up on, and be like, we smashing and grabbing. But this ain't something you gonna call. Now look, let's stop. Oh, you see hella dark, so you think you see all black. Watch this. Look at this shit. I want to see something that ain't. I want to see something. See? Everybody, damn, they getting it in, by the way. What is they doing? Store clerks right there. All right, I just seen the first face. No, that's a white face peeking through there. You can't tell me shit. Watch this. Watch this white face peeking through here. He's gonna come on this side. It's gonna be a face. This the homework you have to do if you was the feds. So we're gonna start on first white face right here. He picking up the bow. Don't think that's not his face up under there in that white, because watch when he step forward. That ain't his face? It don't look like his face down. You can't, yeah, that was his face, his little eye area. White hands right here. Stop playing with me, bruh. Them ain't gloves. Them gloves? Well, I got thrown off, but y'all still see my damn point. You call this some black crime that's going on, and every eye socket I see is white. Stop playing with me, bro. They don't got no technology making their eyes look white up under that motherfucker. Look like they all got on a similar mask or something, though. Now, so I don't know. I'm not gonna get thrown off by this. And I'm not saying what I'm saying. I said a lot of this, I think it got to do with a lot of new people moving in and just having their own new way to do crime. But let me stay on the point so I can give out some of these facts on the subject.
But that thing, I would argue, didn't exist in
What about in Africa and Haiti? I mean, they're killing and eating each other in Africa and Haiti. Everywhere where they are, you have these problems.
Yeah.
Well, let's stop. Everywhere where they are, you have these problems. Are you talking about black people? Because everywhere white people are, we have these problems of killing each other, dude. What are you talking about? Are you serious? So you think because Africa ain't doing it with bombs, it ain't killing? Like, how could you? This is the worst argument being made to somebody who's supposed to be an intellectual. Like, he just made the worst argument. They're killing each. First of all, Africa is almost in complete control by white people. Control. That's what colonization is. It is control. This is some crazy stuff. Let's listen.
Argue didn't exist in.
What about in Africa and Haiti? I mean, they're killing and eating each other in Africa and Haiti. Everywhere where they are, you have these problems.
Yeah.
So everywhere where they are. Well, I would say that whatever has happened, civil war in Haiti is far smaller than all the murders and killing that's going on between Russia and the Ukraine right now. Well, what is he even talking about? And matter of fact, everywhere Europeans have been, it's been by fighting in war and murdering and killing tons of people. Matter of fact, you can't tell me, besides on the European continent, and we can go all over the European continent and talk about the history of that too, but you can't tell me no place white people have been where it ain't been by fighting and killing and murdering people. That's just a fact. So let's listen to this.
But that thing, I would argue, didn't exist in.
What about in Africa and Haiti? I mean, they're killing and eating each other in Africa and Haiti. Everywhere where they are, you have these problems.
Yeah, I'd like to look into, and I'm pleading ignorant, but I've heard some things about what happened in Haiti.
Hold on, you are ignorant. You're dumb than a motherfucker. And you being sued, and you about to get cleaned the fuck out. So yeah, you are dumb than a motherfucker. Excuse my language.
And what the Clinton Foundation did there. So I think I'd have to look more into the history of Haiti to be able to push back on that at all. I don't think I agree with that.
You need to do more research to push back against somebody said they're killing themselves everywhere they are. You don't got enough common sense to push back against something like that. You just being a pacifist.
Into the history of Haiti to be able to push back on that at all. I don't think I agree with that.
What about all of Africa then? There's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that's successful. Not one. They're all least developed countries. They're all failed state.
First of all, there's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that wasn't prescribed by white people. I repeat, there's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa where it wasn't fought over in 1920 during the great fucking European races for Africa, where they start fighting for Africa. Name one sub-Saharan country where the borders were not prescribed by Europeans. Y'all made them countries. Literally divided stuff up like y'all against them, y'all against them. Like the architects of dysfunction and fundamentally and making sure it was an element of your survival to underdevelop Africa so that you can keep using it for resources. For resources, so that you can keep using it for resources. Take it over and underdevelop it. And then start with the rhetoric that you don't even know you're participating in. You see, the reason why I could tear apart your silly arguments so easy is because it's not the first time these words came out of a European's mouth. As a matter of fact, in the 1800s, we start dealing with what they call pro-slavery and abolitionist literature. And the argument of the pro-slavery literature would be everything that we're hearing this guy say on social media today. This is why we got to understand what's going on is bigger than what y'all think. If you hear pro-slavery rhetoric popping up in the propaganda, modern day propaganda, you need to be astute enough to know what the hell going on. You know what's going on if you hear your chick whispering on the phone in the next room and you walk in the subject switch, but you don't know what's going on when you hear pro-slavery rhetoric popping up in the mouth of some of the leading propagandists in 2025. We ain't sharp enough to identify that. So you should know the play. It's like football. He say blue 32. We know blue 32. They about to do a sweep left, bro. We about to get on top of that quick. Matter of fact, soon as he pitched the ball, I'm out to the left. Somebody back me up. I'm dedicated. Y'all ain't never played football? Man, you used to come out the huddle like, bruh, say blue 32. I'm just saying, I didn't have a long football career, but that one little moment of team spirit and all that showed me how you supposed to get it in. Like, watch my back. I'm dedicated to this because I know the play. Bow. Oh, yeah. You feel me? Well, that's where we going right now. This is all coming out of, he ain't said nothing. He probably gonna get down to the savages, you know what I'm saying? And they used to enslave each other. These are all pro-slavery talking points.
Things about what happened in Haiti and what the Clinton Foundation did there. So I think I'd have to look more into the history of.
You don't know what
Haiti
happened in Haiti? Come on, man. Now, we could talk about what happened in modern day Haiti, but we got to know the long legacy of what's going on. What about you talking about the Macrons and the French, and you don't know what happened in Haiti? Golly, how you be doing that? You can't be halfway and be all on the internet looking all doofus and puzzled like this and shit.
Able to push back on that at all. I don't think I agree with that.
What about all of Africa then? There's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that's successful. Not one.
So
They're
stop
all
with your jargon. Stop with your divisive European way to divide the African continent to let your silly ass argument prevail. What is this sub-Saharan Africa thing? Shut up with this bullshit. It ain't no barrier that divided the continent that would just limit the greatness of everything below the Sahara and make the greatness of everything above the Sahara prevail because it's closer to white people. Y'all got some dumbass theories, dog. Like, seriously, if that's really what your undertone, that's why you look so stupid right now. Like, you can't get away from face expressions and shit. You can try to act dumb, but you look, smart, but you look dumb than the motherfucker. You don't know. You really don't know. And so you're convinced of what you've been taught in all your little white supremacy cults. Silly rhetoric.
Look more into the history of Haiti to be able to push back on that at all. I don't think I agree with that.
What about all of Africa then? There's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that's successful. Not one. They're all least developed countries. They're all failed states.
This kind of
They're
reminds me.
all least developed countries, dude. You don't colonize something when it's in control. When you're in control, you control the resources. You control everything in those countries. There's African countries that's been giving billions to France and other European nations, particularly France, every year. Underdeveloped. So that's like me. I mean, that's really like a slumlord complaining to his tenants, because when you take something over, you control that. Let's just be not clear. Africa is not controlled by black people. It's the home of black people, and even some of the leaders that they put in be puppets to Europeans. Let's just keep it all the way a buck, right? So it's the home, but it ain't controlled by all black people. We see that with, the history of South Africa and other places, right? As we coming into more recent control and we liking what we seeing from some of the liberating leaders, right? But I'm not gonna get into all them stories. But what I want to talk about is some of this history that he do not know nothing about.
Least developed countries, they're all failed states.
This kind of reminds me, and we could
least developed countries
kind of flesh out this conversation together, and I'm not perhaps ready to have it fully, but I do remember going back to Dave Smith where he was conceding a point on, well, all of these other Middle Eastern countries, no, you wouldn't want to live there, you'd want to live in Israel. In my mind, I'm going, well, because you just keep bombing the crap out of them if they ever try to get ahead. I remember watching this clip of him saying that, going, why don't these countries get ahead? And kind of.
So she's on point. She has the proper arguments, but not all the same facts as it pertains to Africa. And I don't know why you would know that Israel was holding the nations around them back, but not know that Europeans on a whole have been holding Africa back since it's been colonized. Like, why would you not know that?
Going back in my mind to the Gaddafi speech where he keeps speaking essentially about, here's what we got to do in Libya to get ahead. Here's what we're going to do with the dollar, and we're going to be progressive and this and that. And they killed him. And then what happened to those Libyan refugees? Suddenly they're now pouring into, just like he said was going to happen, that they were now pouring into the European continent, and Europeans are complaining, who are these people? And so the question is, are we allowing, because I'm like, Africa's a pretty rich country. Like, why aren't Africans controlling the diamond trade? Who's taking all of the diamonds so that they can't control the diamond trade?
Oh, finally hitting with something. The diamonds. He ain't going to address that. As a matter of fact, you don't even know why you call jewels jewels. Like, stop playing with me, bruh. Cats get all their jewels from Africa, but they call jewels. Don't even play with me, bruh.
Trade, and how long have these people been doing that, being essentially culture vultures? That's kind of the journey that I've been on now in terms of really trying to go back and look into history to see what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I never trust myself when I have a perspective now, because I realize how much of my opinions and beliefs were shaped by the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think you're right. I think that there has been a very sophisticated effort to, just like you would say now, in terms of people that are intentionally attacking Anglo-Saxons. I'm just learning about that there were these books that were written to, we must genocide the Anglo-Saxons, that were going on for a lot longer than I realized. History didn't begin with World War II, but I think it would take a lot of time to kind of unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, are we stopping people from getting ahead just because, I don't know?
That just sounds, I mean, being honest with you, that just sounds to me like a left-wing argument when they say, why?
First of all, there you go. You don't even got no context for argument, because you're not even talking about left and right wing issues. You're not even talking about America. You were talking about black people all over the world. You just went into Haiti and Africa, but then when you get your answer, you want to say, oh, well, that's just a left wing argument.
People from getting ahead just because, I don't know.
That just sounds, I mean, being honest with you, that just sounds to me like a left-wing argument when they say, why don't these countries get ahead? Colonialism, you're a colonizer. It's like, okay, but when we got there, they had no development. When we got to Africa, they had no technological development.
What is he talking about? Like, I don't even understand how he could be allowed to say. That's why the cat got his tongue. Look at his facial expression. He probably, his spirit anticipated me finding this video in the future. And he's saying when they got to Africa, Africa had no technological advancement. Wow. So now let me phrase this for you. What he's talking about is when colonizers got to Africa, he supposes that there was no technological advancements there. Like, how stupid is that? Almost every historical technological advancement that them colonizers used to get to Africa came out of Africa. But we're going to go even deeper. Watch this.
Hey, why don't these countries get ahead? Colonialism. You're a colonizer. It's like, okay, but when we got there, they had no development. When we got to Africa, they had no technological development.
Now, all right, let me stop. When he say we, I'm going to tell you what's happening. He's having a bit of a white psychosis right now. When he's saying we, he's not choosing the history of the European. If he was forced to deal with the history of the European, he would understand that he would be forced to submit that everything he's saying is just grossly untrue. Some of the first accounts of Europeans visiting Africa, they account for them seeing some of the first wonders of the world. I repeat, Salome's account, when he got humiliated by thinking just like this guy thinks he's so smart. When Salome traveled to Africa and looked around at all the great wonders of the world and wanted to learn from the eldest Egyptian priest, he got sunned by that priest. So you say when we get there, this is how I know you having white psychosis, because you're not talking about when they got there, because all they seen was technological advancements that they didn't know how to even, that we don't know how to build to this day. Right? What you call a Corinthian column. He seen those when he got to Egypt. So, this no technological advancement stuff is nonsense, right? It's just silly. You're not well trained at spewing your racist propaganda to where somebody like me could just get on YouTube and make you look stupid. Man, we could go in on it because really how this went down, in your psychosis, you chose to be the colonizer. So when you say we didn't get there, you're talking about when colonizers got there. Because I just gave you a count in history of when Europeans actually stepped foot back in documented accounts, right? Well, they say, he came back and went back to Greece and said, we don't know anything. And you could just go to not modern, but upon the discovery of Egypt, go to Count Volney. When he say all the maths and the sciences and the history, everything come from the people that you now scorn, the black races. Don't get past math, science, and all of that. Like, what are you talking about? How can somebody let a little kid come on to YouTube and get hella views talking this nonsense?
When they say, why don't these countries get ahead? Colonialism. You're a colonizer. It's like, okay, but when we got there, they had no development. When we got to Africa, they had no technological development.
So you think that even if we weren't at war, and sure, you could say that you think that's a leftist argument. I would only push back on that because I've learned so much about just like recent history that I didn't know. But you think that the Middle East, like if we had done nothing in terms of the Middle East, that they would just...
Why you keep going to the Middle East? You think you ain't got no argument with Africa? Are you so anti-Africa that you don't know nothing about it? You ain't never heard of Timbuktu? You ain't never heard of that? You ain't heard nothing in Egypt. You heard of Kerma? Have you heard of Kerma? Have you heard of Kush? Have you heard of cartoon? You know the Kush of the Bible? Dude. Do we know, does that white dude know that in the Christian Bible, it was the African king Taharka who saved Jerusalem? Do we know that? Somebody, he Googling right now. ChatGTP.
No technological development.
So you
no
think
recorded
that
history.
even if we weren't at war, and sure, you could say that you think that's a leftist argument. I would only push back on that because I've learned so much about just like recent history that I didn't know. But you think that the Middle East, like if we had done nothing in terms of the Middle East.
Let's just, before she get on with this Middle East, I still want to talk about how he keep misframing the argument. He supposes that all conservatives are colonizers. You see that presupposition in his argument? I consider myself conservative. I ain't no damn liberal. You know all that liberal shit they changing the world with? I'm cool. I like, and as a black man, I like what we espouse as traditional values in the black family. Wherever that came from, I like them. Right? Them values, I don't want to change them. I don't think you should come in with a new none of that. Nope. I'm conservative. So arguing that colonization, or better yet, arguing that pinpointing that colonization is the problem is a liberalist argument is silly, because all conservatives, or who you would like to call right-wing people, they're not all colonizers. A colonizer don't mean right-wing. Man, he on some little kid. He's so little.
Even if we weren't at war, and sure, you could say that you think that's a leftist argument. I would only push back on that because I've learned so much about just like recent history that I didn't know. But you think that the Middle East, like if we had done nothing in terms of the Middle East, that they would just be savages and just be like, you know, America didn't do anything it doesn't set anything backwards, and you're just like bombing a place.
Hell no. I don't say no liberal statements. You don't hear that shit on my show. You don't hear me even saying, that's cool if you like that. I hate motherfuckers who get confronted with some changes in the world and their way to deal with it is to be politically correct, to be like, if you like that, it's cool. I don't be doing that type of shit. Maybe I got a way of sounding diplomatic, right? And you might hear some liberalism in my diplomacy, but nah, if I put down policy or how it's gonna be, it ain't none of that shit in there. That shit is for the birds.
Yeah, kind of. I think that we did set them back because when they don't have political order, it prevents development and investment and things like that. But, you know, again, when you look at the antecedents of all these, you know, the history didn't start, like you said, with World War II in the 20th century. There's a reason that European civilization created this enormous gap between them.
Thievery, slavery, and if those aren't your reasons, then you are tripping. Those are the only two reasons. Well, thievery, slavery, and a propensity towards murder. Those are the only reasons. And we're going to get into that. Listen to this.
Of course, you're just like bombing a place.
Yeah, kind of. I think that we did set them back because when they don't have political order, it prevents development and investment and things like that. But, you know, again, when you look at the antecedents of all these, you know, the history didn't start, like you said, with World War II in the 20th century. There's a reason that European civilization created this enormous gap between them and everybody else. And I don't think it was that it was white supremacy or it was unfair or something like that. I think it's because Europeans are smarter.
You hear how dumb.
For better or for worse,
now
it's
I'm
not.
gonna just stop this and come on the stream. Now you see what they allow to be. And then they pick a person like Candace Owens, right? Umar Johnson would have been better for that. Umar Johnson would have beat the brakes off. Tell the truth. If you Umar ain't useful for nothing else, he would have been so much better for that video. He would have beat the brakes off that dude. Right? So they gonna go get a pawn in the game who look like she black, but she ain't got nothing black about her. And sit him in front of a loaded child with bad information. So let's talk about some of these antecedents, right? I just spoke about one of them. Actually, the first documented case you got of Europeans encountering Africans are all awful. When I say awful, I mean full of awe, awe-stricken, looking up, deferred, differentiated respect towards the Black African. I got these accounts on file. But like I cited, the first account you could ever cite as an antecedent to anything you talking about would be Salome, who had nothing but reverence and respect for the Black Africans he met when he went to Africa. Now, there was only one description that Greeks, not just Herodotus, but I can show you 10 different Greek scholars that all describe ancient Egyptians as Black Africans. So anything attributed to the legacy of Egypt should be attributed to Black Africans. So when you talk about, let me bring this on the screen after making that statement, and I'm gonna say it like Umar Johnson. Anything, any of the greatness, unless you want to despise them. And the pejorative used most often would be Hesse. We find this term used for people from the South too, but far less than we find. As a matter of fact, it's used 3 times more for people coming from the Levant, to call them vile people and to erect gates, double gates, to keep them out of Africa. You talking about the antecedents to what? You don't even want to address none of the modern history. You see, y'all knew how to take a bath and shit after these first encounters, right? Y'all knew about irrigation systems because the Greeks had encountered the Egyptians. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up real quick. There's one scholar I need you to see him say it. All right. So, here we go. So y'all knew about how to, and I'm talking about white people, y'all knew about how to, some of the Romans did their bath houses and stuff, but y'all gotta remember, it was long time periods where they forgot about a lot of that knowledge and information, and we're gonna talk about that. But first, before we do that, I want y'all to see this. Now, this is coming from Bruce Stewart, and I'm just gonna let it play a little bit more than what I had up there.
Read what the Greeks said, not what we think, but if you read what the Greeks said, they said they got everything from Egypt. They got all their knowledge from Egypt.
They got all their what? They got all of their knowledge from Egypt. Where is Egypt? In Africa. It's only Europeans and people from the Middle East who try to separate Egypt out of Africa. Egypt is in Africa. He just said if you listen to what the Greeks, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on and play it so y'all can get some of this knowledge that cats ain't got.
Pythagoras spent 15 years in Egypt. And what did he have to do? He probably had to spend 5 years convincing them that he was worthy to get the knowledge that they had. Remember, knowledge was power. Knowledge was sacred. Knowledge was something you just didn't publish in the newspapers.
So you have a child podcaster in a podcast forum on YouTube telling you that white people are inherently smarter than black people. I go to one video of a professor in a scholastic forum telling you the opposite. All right? And I just want y'all to die. It's only 3 minutes, man. Go on and get the whole spiel, bro.
That's one of the things
3
I
minutes.
would most like you to come away with from this lecture. First of all, you cannot study the Egyptians as an archaeologist or as an astronomer or as a philosopher or as an anthropologist. You must put it all together because they put it all together. If you read what the Greeks said, not what we think, but if you read what the Greeks said, they said they got everything from Egypt. They got all their knowledge from Egypt. Pythagoras spent 15 years in Egypt. And what did he have to do? He probably had to spend 5 years convincing them that he was worthy to get the knowledge that they had. Remember, knowledge was power. Knowledge was sacred. Knowledge was something you just didn't publish in the newspapers. Knowledge was guarded very closely because it was of tremendous value. You wouldn't give it to anybody. You would give it to somebody who was willing to shave his head and be a penitent for 5 years, and then you might start to tell him things. Okay? And the Greeks did this. Pythagoras did this. Other Greeks did this. And they said that they got all their knowledge from the Egyptians. Now, when did we come up with the idea that the Greeks created?
So this is half the reason why Egyptians ain't black. They don't want to say Egyptians is black because all of the Greeks said they got all their knowledge from them. Listen to what the man's saying.
Everything from scratch? Well, believe it or not, it happened in the 18th and 19th century. And it's an unfortunate fact of life that Romanticism, which has many great things about it, also has a dark side, which has to do with racism. And in the 18th and 19th century, it was decided that it was just not appropriate for all this knowledge to come from an African country. Where would that knowledge, if it survived to the time of the Roman Empire, where would it have been kept? Yes. In Alexandria, in the museum, the library at Alexandria. And what happened to the library? It was burned in a war.
So let's just stop that right there because y'all heard that already. So he checkmated on him with the silliness, everything that you call European knowledge. You talking about the antecedents to this, right? Damn, he said, yeah, the sound is chirping. I don't know what to do. Maybe it was just that video. Hopefully it ain't my audio. I apologize, huh? But we're gonna go into more detail. Dang, audio tripping. Is my mic audio tripping? Because I'm gonna try to have to fix that before we proceed. They say it was clear. What, the mic or the or the YouTube? Some say audio is perfect, so maybe y'all could come back. Yeah, that's maybe, I'm sorry that y'all got those issues, but if others say it sound perfect, then I can't do nothing. You feel me? All right, but I appreciate you. Let's continue. Cool. Appreciate y'all to say both is clear too. Y'all might need to refresh because they might be at an earlier point in the video or something. So we can continue. Now let's think about it. Because he talking about the antecedents to this. He thought he hit it with a big word, but let's think about it. I want to Google this. And we can put it on the screen. Look. This is what you gotta see. This is when y'all forgot how to take a bath. And you ain't about to be talking crazy on YouTube to me without getting these facts put in your head. This is when y'all thought getting baptized was enough of a bath for your whole life. Who thought, what people on this earth thought that taking a bath once in your baptism was enough for your whole life? Was that Africans? Talking about that white people. How smarter you gotta be than somebody to think that you only need to take a bath once in your whole life? Y'all would think that's crazy. See, I had to Google the Dark Ages to bring us back into context. Now check this out. They tell European history like it's world history. It's not, bruh. The Dark Ages is just some European shit, man. Wasn't no Dark Age down in South Africa. Wasn't no dark, I mean, you feel me? And so why did I bring up the Dark Ages? Because we talking about the antecedents to Europeans being smarter than Africans, right? But we got to remember during the Dark Ages, basically for a recap, they forgot everything. All knowledge, all that, burn, fire, fight, kill each other. I'm going to read it from the AI overview. I'm not getting any interference. Everything's clear. I'm glad you said that. The Dark Ages is a historical period in Europe. See? As a kid, they taught you the Dark Ages like that happened over the whole world. How you about to be talking about the antecedents to what's going on in Africa and Haiti and leave all the good parts out? This is the part where people learn. The Dark Ages is a historical period in Europe roughly from the 5th to the 14th century. Right? Stay one ahead of yourself when you're figuring out the 15th to the 14th, and you cool. 15th to the 14th century following the fall of the Roman Empire and preceding the Renaissance. See, the Renaissance is when y'all learn how to use toilet paper again. But during these Dark Ages, we're going to talk about it. Because it wasn't no Dark Age in Africa. Africa was thriving. We had about the king of the Axumite, at the end of the Axumite dynasty when the Romans, I'm talking about this 5th century right here, when the Romans is finally trying to penetrate a little bit further. No. They trying to end that Axumite. Axumite thing is probably over a century or two earlier than that. I'm trying to think of what kingdoms. No, we start talking about more modern kingdoms up to that 5th century. But Africa was still thriving. Still thriving, right? And so it's often characterized by a decline in literacy. I'm going to get on my Umar today. It's often characterized by a decline in literacy. This is a historical period in Europe that is often characterized by a decline in literacy, urban life, and cultural achievements. So from the 5th century to the 14th century on this earth, only in Europe, we have a decline of literacy, urban life and cultural achievements compared to the classical period. However, the term is debated, and some historians argue that the era was not as dark as previously portrayed. Well, let's talk about some of the historical events that transpired in that era. And some of the evidence we got from other accounts to just let us know how people was getting down. See, a lot of the architecture you see there really ain't European. They learned a lot of now, when I talked about Corinthian columns and stuff being in Egypt, but we was talking about before the Dark Ages, ancient times and stuff. You come up to modern times, a lot of the stuff we relish over is actually like Moorish architecture. So it's big screen time. Unless y'all want me to put some facts on the screen, I'll put them on the small screen. But this is the parts that people need to digest. So, first of all, people of the Middle East, for historical context and for what should prevail historically, I'm just going to say, you can say I'm wrong, but for the greater parts coming out of Saudi Arabia, I don't know how to call Levantines. At this time period we're talking about, we're going to have the control of Romans. Well, they lost that control. So I'm trying to get right before this Islamic expansion, after the Byzantine Empire, after the Islamic expansion into the Maghreb, right, at about 634 or 632, after 632 AD. Then we start talking about, what I want to talk about is after that, right? So I'm just trying to pinpoint this. About 711 AD, right? 710 AD. And we talked about the Moors. Now, I said that was Arab for lack of a better term because of the control of the divine at this time period coming up out of because of this story here. It is, well, some black people traditionally know the Moors to be a contingency of all black people. Historically, it probably didn't go down like that. We got some accounts coming from other languages that would lead you to be, that's because the Moors they encountered were the black ones. But that word necessarily from its inception wasn't just tied to blackness like that, meaning there were Moors who were black in the army of General Musa, right? And they were, well, their skin was dark. People try to separate Berber with all of this stuff and act like the Zahana wasn't just regular black Africans, but whatever. Zanata, I think I meant to say. It was Tarif who went into the Iberian Peninsula before Tariq, and what he encountered was straight slop house pigsty squalor that was so easy to conquer that's why white man, Mr. Super White Supremacist today, he loved the word tariff, don't even know it come from the black man Tarif, who on his first encounter with these dastardly Europeans that was just living in pigsties, that he set up a tariff in his town to say, if any of y'all cross this line, break bread or fake dead. Any of your goods go up out of here, pay me. And he set that up on a scouting mission. He wasn't supposed to bring back no booty or do none of that. This is Tarif, who went before Tariq. This is 710 AD. Man, he encountered this king. He encountered, let me pull up a picture. He encountered the king. I'm gonna put King Roderick. Y'all could probably try to pull that up faster than me. He encountered this king who lived in the barn. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of his barn. King Roderick's barn. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find anything on that. Well, anything, I'm gonna pull up King Roderick, who he encountered, right? On the Iberian Peninsula. Such a noodle that he smashed on him without the rest of his army. I can put, you can see it right here, yeah. Also spelled Roderick. Roderick is a Visigoth king in Hispania between 710 and 711. He is well known as the last of the Goths. So y'all thought the Goths was living lavish in the Dark Ages? So people don't understand the stories of the Moors teaching Europeans. Not initially everybody, I mean, they learned hygiene. Everybody knew hygiene. Romans had, look, they had bathhouses. That's hella nasty, yo. Stop with all the nonsense. They just had their form of hygiene, right? But all that bathhouse shit, that's some Roman shit. Stop with it. We ain't even gonna talk about y'all eating black people in the 1600s. Literally eating black people, eating mummy. But the mummy, since it had to be black, because y'all thought it had bitterment on it. What's up with that? Like, the cannibalism coming out of Europe is outrageous at such a late period, Nick. Yo, can anybody get a response from this little dude to some of this? Like, why was y'all eating black mummies? Why did they have to be black? Anyway, back to this king, this irrelevant king on the Iberian Peninsula, one of the first kings who got, this is the sucker who was holding down so weak that when Tarif got over there, he said, man, all right, I'm not going to just beat y'all down. There was some Jews living amongst them too, believe it or not, amongst these Goths, right? He let them continue practicing how they practice and everything. But look, y'all want to step up out of this area right here, choom, choom, boom, y'all got to pay a tariff. And that's where the word tariff come from. It don't come from nothing Trump be talking about. It come from a brother putting it down under the authority of Governor Musa, who was not a black man, he was an Arab. But later, we're going to deal with Tariq. Ibn Zayed. 1 year later, right? Goes all up into the Iberian Peninsula and takes over the Iberian Peninsula. The Moors ruled the Iberian Peninsula from 711 AD to 1492. So what is this little kid talking about, dog? So look, that's what brought Europe out of the Dark Ages. I'm looking for the camera. It's right here. That's what brought Europe out the Dark Ages. Stop playing, dog. That's why you think fine alligator shoes come from Italy, but you never seen a gator in Italy. It's because the Moors taught them about that, man. They seen the Moors with their feet wrapped with alligators, alligator skin. It's not that's a black Moorish tradition. Now, and I'll explain how all the contingency of Moors weren't black, but from the European perspective, it somewhat was. Because they encountered soldiers before they encountered some of the generals we speak about. So what's the matter with dude talking about the antecedents to Africans and Africa being so underdeveloped. So in your history book, in your school, they started you at 1492, Nick. 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. You didn't know that's because in 1491, King Boa, B-O-A, is my memory right? The last Moorish king got expelled as he was made to kiss the feet of the prevailing European king. Now I gotta look that up. King Boa, B-O-A. King Boa or Moors. I gotta get that name right. But this is just me recalling that from some yeah, come on now. Portugal, the epithet. All right, I'm gonna go to AI real quick so we can have a fun with it. All right, y'all can tell me some Moorish history. Who was the last Moorish king? What was his name? King Boa. Who was the last Moorish king? King Boa, blood. Stop playing with me. Muhammad, yeah, I told you Boa. Boa Abdil. But they called him King Boa, bro. Look. Oh, I gotta put it big on the screen. They didn't call him Muhammad the 12th. Let me see. I mean, I can't say they called him King Boa. He was written in the books as some books as King Boa that I've read before. But y'all see that right there? The last king of Granada was Muhammad the what? 12th? Better known as Boa Bill. This is Boa. Boa. You know, I don't know the rest of that. Was a misinterpretation. Thank you. Okay, cool. So, but we right there though. You feel me? He got made to kiss the feet. Look, 1492. This is why, because you ain't learned shit with European history your whole damn life. This is why in the school system, they start at 1492. They don't want you to know about nothing before that. 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue because he was commissioned by Ferdinand after they ass finally took back the Iberian Peninsula because black people was ruling it for 700 years. They don't say that much. They just say Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Crazy. I'm about to keep cooking. Just gotta send a quick text to a loved one. You feel me? Don't let none of the, hey man, any youngster needs some of that knowledge to beat up some of these. They might have crackers at their school saying shit like that, man. You need to make sure they watching my show, bro. They need to be able to beat the brakes off them. Don't have your son out there uninformed in this predatory ass racist America where cats think they smart with dumbass knowledge like that. Running around talking about Africa, you know, white people smarter than black because they fight everywhere they're at. What? Make sure your son, while I don't care, he get worse cuss words and on his headphones than he'll ever get on my show, ever. I'm sorry. We need enough people knowing how people don't know how to beat it. Candace Owens don't even know how to beat up that little dude on this subject. I would like to talk to a scholar on the subject. No scholar on the subject is going to take that stance. Only propagandists who pose as scholars will take that stance. Propagandists who pose as scholars is going to take the stance that you think a nubiologist or anybody who studies ancient history will really take the stance that the antecedents to the fighting that's happening now in Africa was just it causes one to believe that white people are smarter than black people. Now let's talk about some reality of everything. Don't set shit up, dude. I'm gonna beat you, dude. I'm not playing. I'm gonna win at my own game every time, right? So don't be doing all this racist shit that led you to believe that, like how they used to set testing up and shit. All of the things they've done inside to rig the game. To rig the game. Like, right? To where that now a young person, maybe in his 20s, could have a strong conviction on such a pseudo-ass point. But it's nothing. You hit the like button, man. We just was... Oh, so what else happened? 1492. I said 700 years. Let's go back and see what ChatGPT said. Because they say longer. And you know it's 800 years. So let me talk about something. That's why the Klan hat ain't nothing but really the Catholic hat, but you don't even know nothing about that shit. Oh, now he said the Klan hat. Man, the Klan hat is the same Catholic hat. You can't tell me no difference. I know the whole shit. So let me ask you something. You don't even know the answer to this question. I'll let you use ChatGPT. What is the garb of a Catholic priest who is in a procession to do what? Charge somebody for heresy. To do a witch hunt in the Reconquista. In the Inquisition, which happens at the end of the Reconquest. That's why we don't put certain people in front of certain people. Dude, do you know they just wore a Klan outfit? I'm just gonna Google it. See, this is the thing we don't understand. The biggest enemy of those Europeans at that time was the black man. And that's why we got to just deal with this, yo. This fight that you see happening right now, they easing on you with some Mexican shit. That shit gonna hit you right at your door because you don't even understand historical how you've been pitted, historically been made to be someone's enemy. Even if you like, I'm not their enemy, if they saying you their enemy, what you gonna do? So what I mean is the tools, the level of demented, sadistic, pain-inflicting, and torture, and all that shit that happened upon the slave, the devices and those tools, how they learned how to make these tools and shit, that comes out of the Inquisition. That comes out of chasing people down to make sure they was doing Christianity right, Catholicism right, and wasn't doing no witchcraft. Now, so let me show you Catholic priest. I'm just gonna put Catholic Klan so they can already know what I'm talking about, dude. There you go, this hat right here. So just tell me what part of this am I misunderstanding? Because it's all on Wiki. Tell me I'm misunderstanding something about this shit right here. So, oh no, this ain't the Klan. That's something different. Man, I'm telling you right now, you would get a whole bunch of ecclesiastical dignitaries knocked down. Boop, 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 boop. Walking down the wrong street thinking that this ain't the Klan. I don't even care. Way too close. Think we ain't playing colors. We're not doing none of that. I just got through telling y'all that shit come out the Catholic Church. So where am I wrong? What part am I wrong about? Just because I know this information. I know how it came out of the church. Because the big struggle that you looking at is black or white, but the underlying struggle was Christianity and Islam. Catholicism and Islam. Christian, whatever you want to call it. So you wise enough to know that he ain't in the Klan if he just popped up. You wise enough to know that dude right here ain't in the Klan? I ain't wise enough to know that. Man, this is a straight regular street procession. Man, you know what? I lived in San Leandro once by this Catholic church, dude. And they came down the street like this one day, bro. I swear to God. I thought I missed the news. I was fully ready. My family was good. My family was good. It was nothing. It was going to be cool. But I'm saying, though, they was coming walking down the street like this, blood. So let me explain this. You see, in an 800-year war, I started it off with King Roderick, the first king that got slapped up by the Moors when they came to teach them how to take baths again because they forgot during the damn Dark Ages, and they start thinking in Catholicism that all you had to do was take a bath once in your life and you was cool. Somebody falsify that. Say that ain't true. Prove it. Pull up the facts. It was the Moors who was like, nah, man, you got to take a bath more than once in your life. And they was like, serious? I never thought about that. It may be deeper than that, but you would have to come on to explain it because it ain't that much deeper, right? I'm giving it to you just for face value. It ain't that much deeper. But I can tell you a little bit more because what started the Inquisitions, what even gave them the ability to go on these Inquisitions? It was because they were starting to win the Reconquista, right? They started to win the Reconquest. They started to win the taking back over of the Iberian Peninsula and the majority of Spain, right? You're welcome to Creole, whenever you do. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Yeah, and so, well, again, we're going to read what Wiki says, just because I said what I had to say, but we're also going to read what it says just to give you some facts. The capriole is a Christian pointed hat in a conical form that is used in Italy, Spain, and Hispanic countries by members of the confraternity of penitents, particularly those of the Catholic Church. I don't care because it's the same thing as the goddamn Ku Klux Klan. Ain't no difference. They go to Inquisition Tribunal where I told you it was used all in the Inquisition. Y'all thought I was lying. So now, let me show you. Now we got the Klan hats. I don't care how they play it off. This tribunal is just like slavery shit. Look, dude, they about to go. No. It says a painting by Francisco Goya depicting the auto de fe, an act of public penance carried out between 15th and 19th century of condemned heretics. But it seems as if the condemned person here is wearing the hat. right? They look to be bound by the wrist with the hat on. I don't even care. But I mean, I like learning. I mean, I don't know if I learned anything. I just know looking at this photograph, it appears that the people with the hats on, oh, you know what? Wait a minute. So who is these fools? These are somebody saying you can't do Christianity or whatever they was doing? But I want to look at all the Inquisition tribunals. Let's read it. As known as the Court of Inquisition and the Inquisition scene, an oil painting from the Spanish artist Francisco Goya between 1812 and 1819. The painting belongs to a series which also includes bullfighting in the madhouse and the procession of the flagellants. It says, all reflecting customs of the which liberals, see this liberals in this, I mean this stuff goes back way too far. They was talking about liberals and stuff way back during Socrates' time. Now that I'm thinking about it, probably. Anyway, let's not get distracted. Let's keep beating their wig with facts. Because he's sitting over here talking about he got evidence from all of the European domination and underdevelopment, colonialism. Yes. No, I just proved, I mean, so many people can tell you how thriving Africa was before colonialism. Like, come on, dog. Have you ever heard of Mansa Musa? Whether people in the community like what he did or not, there was some new pseudo stance like, oh, he actually wasn't good. He got blah, blah, blah. In the context of this conversation, Mansa Musa was the richest man in the world. An African who gave away so much gold that he changed the economy, the value of it. I don't even get it. Has anybody ever dated Timbuktu? Like, all of this stuff is before what he talking about. Look, dude. All of these kingdoms that you can't compare to is before what he talking about. Let's go. I'm looking at the history. Oh, you can't see it on the screen. So I don't even have to just stay talking about Egypt and North Africa. Like, everything he said was hella dumb. So let me just see. So I want to look at the history of this. Prehistory, medieval Western towns, okay, Iron Age settlements. But I want to look at the modern history of it. Are they giving it to 13th, 14th century? It's golden period. Acquired a reputation in the Western world as an exotic, mysterious place, but the city was once well-known trade center and an academic hotspot in the medieval world. All right? So I don't even get it. Because it wasn't medieval times in Africa, but it was medieval times in Europe. But this was a well-known academic hotspot during your medieval times. So earlier I made a claim about some of those Europeans of that time being so stupid. I mean, so unadvanced. I mean, they just got hit hard by the Dark Ages so bad that they started eating black people. Yes. Because of the magical properties that they thought that they would ingest or obtain as a result of their ingestion of black mummies. Now, why do I keep saying black mummies? It's kind of strange because we know about black putrefaction. But if the mummy was black putrefied, they didn't want it. They only wanted to eat deceased black people for a particular reason. As a matter of fact, this phenomenon in the 15th and 16th, and all the way up into the 17th century, no, 16th and 17th century got so bad. You can look at the work of a Julius Culpeper and find in his recipe books recipes for how European, these smart people that was just so smart, how they should use deceased black people, mummies, and we'll talk about it, in their recipes. A recipe book. This is all facts and knowledge. I'm not just here shrugging my shoulders and shit. I'm giving you sources, names, people's work to go look up. And am I the one to be on here talking to? Is this my content? Is this what I spew on my propaganda machine? I just watched somebody get away with saying that. It appears white people are smarter than black people. It's just stupid and asinine. And it's good for us to be able to learn, and even if you already know, to reveal or whatever, some of our interrelationships that help other people besides white people helping black people. Because in your modern day, you must think you see these white governments helping black people to whatever extent, and you feel like that's the way the world went. Earlier, I said it was an African king in the Christian Bible. It was an African king named Taharka who saved Jerusalem. That wasn't an erroneous statement. How, if this Levant, even this area, was so technologically advanced, why need some Africans to come save it from the Assyrians? The Bible doesn't say that happened. The Bible says the hand of the Lord killed 120,000 soldiers in front of the walls of whatever. But there's a historical account to that same story, more than one. And it's funny how in the Bible, his name Taharka still even enters. So you wanted to talk about some of the antecedents to, I want to show you something. I don't know if you know about this. It's called the Race for Africa. Young man, Nick, sit your ass down in the back of my class and shut the hell up. The Race for Africa. The scramble, all right? We're going to sit this little square down and teach him something real quick. I mean, when we got there, it was just so nothing. Do you know about the scramble for Africa, Lil Nick? Lil Nick. Do you know about the scramble for Africa? I'm just giving you, since you at the first source, if it's on Wiki, bro, golly, you don't know about this. The scramble for Africa was the invasion, conquest, and colonization of most of Africa by 7 Western European powers driven by the Second Industrial Revolution during the late 19th century and the early 20th century, in the era of the new imperialism: Belgium, France, Germany, UK, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. In 1870, 10% of the continent was formerly under European control. In 1914, the figure had risen to 90%. The only states retaining sovereignty were Liberia, Ethiopia, Egba, Usa, Tunisia, Mumba, and Ogaden, or whatever, the Dervish state, and the Darfur Sultan, and the Ovambo kingdoms, most of which were later conquered. In 1884, the Berlin Conference regulating European colonization and trade in Africa, and it seems as emblematic of a scramble. again, and is seen as emblematic of a scramble. In the last quarter of the 19th century, there were considerable political rivalries between the European empires, which provided the impetus for the colonization. The later years of the 19th century saw a transition from informal imperialism, military influence, and economic domination. So hold up. After coming up out of the end of the slave trade, that was just like, all right, we then took all the people, worked all the people to build our kingdoms, right? Now, let's just divide up the land that we took the people from amongst ourselves. For not to develop these areas for our own use, or not to develop these areas for the use of the people, but to steal, to export, and to extract all of the resources of the whole continent. So just think about it if me and you was doing this. Like, just put on some big boy shoes for a minute. That's not big boy shoes, but just put them on in order to stomach a harsh thought. All right? Now, you in a position where you doing this, and that's a stupid ass position, but look, think about the thought process. Are you going to develop an area that you are controlling where some people could come up and take you over? I'm not saying, so they are following the colonizer's template correctly. If I was a colonizer and I took over some shit, I'm not developing it so that they could get hella smart and hit me with a weapon that I couldn't even develop. So I'm not saying if your goal is to colonize, I'm not saying you ran the play incorrectly. I'm saying we both agree that that's what a colonizer is supposed to do. Therefore, we should both acknowledge the results and effects that that colonization would have on the said people who live in that land. They're going to be in the undeveloped part of the campgrounds. We're going to be over here. We got lights. We plugged into the power. We pulled up in RVs because those people we got in the, not only is they on the undeveloped part of the campground, but we making them work. We'll fuck around and steal one of them and bring them over here and make them barbecue the chicken at this slavery picnic that I'm using as an analogy. Our slavery campgrounds, which is going to make me segue to Negro Bar. Nigga Hill. I didn't make that up. The U.S. government made up that name. Google gonna try to soften it, but let me show you. Wiki might not be able to soften it. Niggerhill. Why they trying to hate? This ain't it. But I put Nigger Hill, and Wiki took you to the old variant name of Nigger Hill, Dead Negro Hill, right? This is a place for the Buffalo Soldier Hill. Not what I'm trying to show you. This information I'm showing you, look, not readily available on Wiki, all right? It's not about to try to be. In a minute, it won't be on Google. They keep on throwing the curveball. Nah, let's go to this one. See, this battle at Nigger, all right, let's see. The battle at Nigger Hill. Now, y'all thought I made this up? Golly. And this might not be the right one, but I want to pull it up. No, I don't have to do all that, bro. New York Times, Boosie. If you're making people do that to read your information, you're never going to get a big following. Here we go, New York Times. Barry, they're gonna do the same thing. Let me log in real quick, man. It's nothing. Oh, all right. Oh, hell no, they hella boosted. I ain't subscribing. Now look. So why am I talking about this? Because I'm talking about all of the stuff that we just don't even know about how this is going down. Buried in the autonomy, and dang, am I tripping? Ignominy. Excuse me. I said that wrong. Ignominy. It says, in El Dorado Hills, California, wedged between the strawberry patch and an enclosed swath of suburbia, the men and women who lie in the Mormon Island Relocation Cemetery are a long dead little noted lot. A Mr. Quinnett, for example, who died in December 1962, or Elizabeth, the wife of James, who died in April some 2 decades later. But for the better part of 5 decades, the most notable tombstones at Mormon Island were those without names. 36 anonymous descendants, whose grave markers share a single shocking label. What is that label? Moved from Nigger Hill Cemetery. Now, why did I bring this up? So I wanted to bring it up to some more recent stifling the Black achievements. You see, this area can be found now. I can show you how to find it. But I can even show you how to find the basin of it. Why? Because I'm into this. This is what it do. Matter of fact, if it all go down, you know, you might can find me at the Negro Hill Basin or something. But this is an area of California. See, you remember I did a study on where Black people would go when fleeing slavery, and you heard these stories that go to the north. Some Black people was going out west and hooking up with Mexicans and Indians. I don't know about saying Mexicans and Indians, because that's all like we using white people language. It was probably just one thing. Indians and Mexicans was probably the same thing. I'm talking about real accounts of Black people from Africa freeing themselves from slavery and making their way out west. And so in doing that type of research, I will come across interesting characters. Some of the characters I came across caused me to say, damn. They stifle this information. Black people have been doing it even in America during slavery. I'll tell you a story about one slave who saved 10 G's to buy his freedom. $10,000 in slavery days. It's cats in the streets of Oakland who can't figure out how to slave $10,000 free. But I don't want to talk about that story. I want to talk about the story I'm talking about. None of the romanticism about Black Indians, but apparently there had to have been Black Indians, because Black people was hooking up with those people who traditionally look like Native Americans, whatever you want to call them, before the white man got out west. And we got hella evidence of that. Actually, when the white people got west, hella that land was already owned by Black people. Not Mexicans. Black people. But it had been given and granted to them by the Mexican president. So check game on that. If you was living in those time periods, and that's why I made my whole series called Free More Jones. It ain't going nowhere, but I still got it out in history because I wanted to document different accounts they don't be telling you about. Cats was blowing cats' heads off. Cowboys wasn't even white people at first. So you could call a white dude a boy back then? Think about all this shit. Just think about all of this shit. They was black people, but whatever though. Yeah, you're right. There was hella black Spaniards, but it comes from the mixing of traditional. I'm not espousing they was here before slavery stuff. Someone got to teach me that. The history I know that I can pull up sources on is from people being freed from slavery, making their way out west and hooking up with the Mexicans. And then the Mexican government would be allotting black people hella land. I've taught about plenty of these stories, right? But let's talk about, if we're talking about this, I'll put it back on the screen. If we talk about nigger hill, and so I don't have to say that word anymore, I'm gonna go to the word that they changed it to in the 90s. I think they changed it because it was officially the US government made tombstones that say nigger hill on them. So I'm using that as the English word, not as a pejorative, just as the way they did it. Now, they wasn't paying no attention to racism, and later on they changed it. They were being racist. And later they changed it to Negro Hill. But just remember, it was not Negro Hill first. It was Nigger Hill first. And I hate how that word sounds, saying it over and over, but hey, that's just a word. This shit don't mean shit to me. But it was what it was called. All right. Now, how did that happen? Let me show you something else. Because now we know when I pull this up, I'm gonna say Negro bar. See how that changed? Now it's the Black Miners Bar. But, so what was it before? It was the Negro Bar. You can say it. Let's all say it on 3. It was the nigger bar. You see how this is happening, right? But what does this really mean? It don't mean let's sit around and have fun with these words and the chance that we have to say them. It actually means black people was here first. That's what you should get from this if you dive deep enough. So now we're at a area. So this word bar should give it all away. What is a bar? Let's go to ChatGPT. I'm gonna have to help ChatGPT along because it ain't gonna know. ChatGPT stupid. I'm gonna say, what is a BAR in regards? I'm gonna give it away. To gold, I had to give it away. Mining. Don't say a bar of gold. Thank you. Now you see that? In the context of gold mining, a bar, oh my gosh, don't bite. I said it first. I gotta go back to the context of gold mining and give cats a bar. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I'm about to say that tonight. All right, we got a new freestyle coming. See, that's how now I gotta, I'm gonna go play with that. Just nobody hit him with that. Or I'm a rapper too, so when I find a creative thought, I might get overexcited. Because that one thought gonna lead to like a whole 5-year freestyle where they say I was killing it. Because I know how my brain works. I could run with that and think of hella shit. But anyway, let me not go off context. In the context of gold mining, a bar usually refers to a sandbar or a gravel bar that forms along the rivers or streams. Damn, I'm gonna give them a bar. Oh, I can't wait. My brain gonna play with that so good. Imagine all the stuff that you could say, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to start talking about hip hop right now. I just got too excited. So now, in the context of gold mining, a bar refers to a sandbar, gravel that forms along the river or streams. Let me take y'all back. Black Miners Bar. But it was the Negro bar before that, and before that, what was it, nigger bar? Why is it significant for me to keep saying the negative pejorative N word there so you can understand? Because it's giving you periodization. We was there when they was good enough to call it that N-word bar. Think about that. Where they could write that on government. Oh, you think it ain't on the government document? Let me show you this tombstone. Oh, see, this is the new tombstone from they put Negro here. But if they show you the old tombstone, which they're probably trying to wipe away, they're trying to wipe away everything. So document as much stuff as you can, especially during this Trump era, because they taking the old pictures of stuff down. So you could used to see it said this old N-word here on the tombstone, yo. You feel me? It's crazy. But let me keep giving you this history lesson of the West Coast. So after the Civil War, well, let me go. I ain't trying to be no historian. I just know some shit. Civil War, let me see. After the Civil War. Let me make sure I'm right. Yep, of course I'm right. No. Hold on. Well, we know about after the Civil War, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about before the Civil War. Because we was talking about freed slaves making it to the West. So when was Negro Bar established? Well, whose land was it on? It was on a black man's land. He owned 35,000 California acres. And going by your one drop rule, he's just a black man. His name, William Alexander Leidensdorf. I talk about him often, maybe once a year, and it's appropriate that I bring him up in this video. See, I knew it would be just like me. So I know how black people do. That's how I figure out the ancient Egyptian language. And that's why not like that, but I'm saying, though, for real. Because it's in you. Now, I'm not ashamed of putting myself in different scenarios that I would not really find myself in that scenario. I have an algorithmic mind that's based on logic. And I'll be like, what would you have done if you was free, hiding from white people and shit, right? And you heard it was a frontier out west that not only go watch my movie Fremore Jones, I'm busting heads all the way to the west. I'm not passing up no shit or sneaking. Every time I don't want to be too bravado right now. Oh, I think I've been waiting for this phone call. Hold on. I might have to end the show. Hello? Yes, just a second.